Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mayur Tade, Chief Business Officer at TeamLease. It is my great pleasure to host the TeamLease webinar on unlocking the 5G-driven job growth potential. As we all know, India has 1.2 billion, that's about 120 crore mobile phone connections, out of which we have anywhere between 65 crore toward 80 crores smartphone users. And this number will grow to about 100 crores in the next 3 to 4 years as per some estimates. The rollout of 5G has started in October 22 and has created a lot of buzz, and we all have been witnessing and experiencing a lot of news around this. And it is expected that somewhere in the year 2024, the entire 5G network will be rolled out across the length and breadth of the country. So while preparing for this webinar, I thought, let me understand what 5G is. And from a layman's term, it's important for us to understand how the technology has evolved over a period of time. So when we started with 1G, it was a maximum speed of about 2.4 kbps. During 2G, cellular phones were used for data along with voice, SMS, internal roaming, conference calls, call holding, and billing based on services was the kind of use case that we had, with the maximum speed of 2G being 50 kbps. 3G set the standards for most of the wireless technology we have come to know and love. Multimedia services like web browsing, email, video downloading, picture sharing, and other smartphone technology were introduced in the third generation in 2001. 4G amended mobile web access, IP telephony, gaming services, high definition mobile TV, video conferencing, 3D television, and cloud computing. The most important advantage of 5G over 4G is much faster data transfer speeds. 5G networks allow data download speeds of up to 20 Gbps, which is insanely fast. To give you an idea, 5G offers 20x faster data transfer speeds as compared to 4G. The upgraded wireless technology also promises latency of less than 1 millisecond, allowing for more reliable and real-time experience with IoT and more immersive AR, VR, and MR experiences. It also opens up possibilities for autonomous vehicles and more such use cases. A new range of 5G use cases and applications that converts connectivity, intelligent edge, and Internet of Things technologies will benefit everyone from gamers to governments. So what are the various use cases for both technologies and applications? So, the first that comes to mind is harnessing the power of Internet of Things, giving devices nearly real-time ability to sense and respond. 5G and IoT are natural pairing that will impact nearly every industry and consumer. Broadband like mobile services, giving us high definition streaming video without the dreaded buffering. Connectivity for edge computing, unleashing artificial intelligence. Applying AI to an immense amount of data at scale will be accelerated with fast and efficient connectivity. Immersive gaming and virtual reality. For gamers, 5G promises a more immersive future. High definition live streaming will get a big boost from 5G speeds, and thanks to ultra low latency, 5G gaming won't be tied down to devices with high computing power. Then there are industrial applications. Healthcare. 5G healthcare use cases will enable doctors and patients to stay connected more than ever. Wearable devices could alert healthcare providers when a patient is experiencing symptoms. Retail. For 5G retail applications, the customer experience will be everything. Stores of tomorrow may no longer look like today's aisles of stocked shelves. Agriculture. Farms of the future will use more data and fewer chemicals. Manufacturing. Factory floors will be totally transformed by the convergence of 5G, AI, and IoT. Logistics. Fleet monitoring and navigation will become significantly easier at scale with 5G. And there are many more such applications which can really propel economic growth in India and thereby the job growth. According to some estimates, the 5G network rollout, only the installation and maintenance of network, fiber, and broadband would create about a lakh of jobs in India. Sales of handsets and broadband connections would create jobs in thousands, greater than 50,000. And technology jobs will be really, between 4 million to 6 million jobs by 2026 in the areas of AI, ML, engineering, IoT, private networks, MVNO, apps, gaming, spectrum management, etc. So this looks to me as a very, very exciting proposition, in the decade to come. To discuss this and know more about 5G world, the challenges and the opportunities, we have an eminent panel of experts with us today. So let us welcome Abhijit Mitra. Hello, Abhijit.
Hi, can you hear me? My camera seems to be stuck, but I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, absolutely, Abhijit. Abhijit Mitra, friends, is the global HR leader of a deep technology listed company called Tejas Networks, spanning all regions of the world: India, North America, Southeast Asia, Africa, etc. Abhijat is a seasoned HR leader with experience in range of industries ranging from IT services, IT product management, consulting, etc. He's a IIM Indore alumnus with rich HR business partner experience in multifarious environments. He has significant international HR exposure in Asia Pacific and Japan, and has worked earlier with McKinsey, Exponential, Adobe, and Wipro. Once again, welcome, Abhijat.
Thank you. I don't know whether you can see me, but yes, I'm here. Welcome to the discussion, and hope to have a very interesting conversation today.
Thank you. Our next panel member is Hitesh Gandhi. He's the director with U Broadband India Limited. We all know it's a entity which belongs to the Vodafone Idea Group. Hitesh is experienced director, accounts and finance with a demonstrated history of working in the telecommunications, broadband ISP industry. Skilled in treasury, banking, computer science, Oracle, accounting, audits, internal controls, and quality assurance. He is PGDCS in computer science and has worked with companies like Adani Ports, Ikara Telecom, etc. Welcome to you, Hitesh.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, all. Thanks. Thanks,
All right.
Mayur. Yeah.
Great. Great. And our third panelist is Sharmishta Roy Chaudhary. She's the Chief Human Resources with Power Exchange of India Limited. Sharmishta has a 22 years of strategic HRM experience. She has led high-performing teams in diverse sectors, which include manufacturing, telecom, automobile, consulting, chemical, and power and energy. She has an MBA in human resources and a double bachelor's degree in science, honors chemistry. She is a PhD from Tata Institute of Social Sciences and an advanced HRM qualification from IIM Ahmedabad. She's a certified trainer and facilitator, and in rewards and compensation benefits, etc. She has won Superwoman Achievers Award in World HRD Congress and Women Leadership and HR Innovation Awards. Sharmishta is a CHRO with PXIL, as I mentioned, and prior to this, she has worked with companies like Reliance Communications, Walchand Group, Mercedes-Benz, Pantheon, and DCW. Welcome to you, Sharmishta.
Thank you so much, Mayur, and I'm delighted to be participating in this seminar or webinar along with Abhijat and Hitesh, and also Mayur. Let's have a wonderful discussion, and thank you so much. And a very good morning to all of you.
Great, superb. So let me start with you, Abhijat. What are your thoughts on 5G technology in general, its use cases? And you are very closer in Tejas Networks, closer to the world of technology, both in your current organization and your previous companies. What are your thoughts on 5G? and how do you think it will propel economic growth in India?
You are in mute, Abhijat.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharmishta. So, Bayu, thank you for the question. Let me kind of take it from the three vectors that you kind of spoke about in your opening notes. So you talked about enhanced mobile broadband, which is a lot of broadband availability, data availability. Then you talked about low latency, which means ultra reliable communication. And the third point you spoke about was basically IoT, which is massive machine type communications. Now 5G, basically, if I see a triad, these are the three triads of 5G. And let me kind of talk about some of the use cases in some of these things. You've covered them, but broadly, uh, let me kind of just take a stab at it. So I'll call out one use case in each of them. So let's say talk about low latency, and where that helps for somebody who's a layperson to say, if you are having an autonomous self-driving car, or you have a mission critical stuff, which is you are doing remote surgery, the data rate transfer is extremely important. I mean, if the packets don't reach on time, if the network is not reliable, the the decision for a car to turn left or right is lost, and that is a key, let's say, use case of that particular aspect of 5G. We talked about this massive IoT. So I'll take the discussion slightly away from IoT, which is IoT is of course a very well-known use case. But let's talk about smart cities. All of us in our urban landscapes today see these cameras and safe cities, and all connected stuff. And what will happen is that this massive machine type communication, the 5G has a spec of being able to collect 1 million devices per square kilometer. So per square kilometer, 5G technology can sustain connectivity of 1 million devices, which let's say connects all these phones, which is the very obvious one, but let's say cameras, which make sensors, which take lifts, etc., to kind of have a smart city experience. We talk about smart cities. We also talk about parking. We talk about other urban infrastructure, which is very important. So that's the second use case. Let's talk about. And the third use case of of course ultra high bandwidth is all causing for immersive technology. So you can actually put people uh, into the virtual world. I mean, an early use case of this is of course the metaverse, which Meta is championing. But I mean, fast forward this 5 years ahead, and then you will have this entire immersive experience kind of coming up. So each of these use cases, are the ones that I would call out as specific areas that you spoke about, but we can kind of talk about others as well.
Yeah. So, and yesterday when I was talking to you, Abhijat, you mentioned a lot of, impact of 5G in the space of manufacturing and, so if you can throw some light on manufacturing as well.
Yeah, so the manufacturing part of it, of course, is the IoT, which is factory automation. You spoke about factory automation, and you talked about some of these robotic stuff. I mean, robotics is truly kind of coming into its own, made from warehouses and things like that. And again, all of that requires extremely secure networks and things like that. Interestingly, also kind of spoke about private networks and security. So that's important in, let's say, a situation like factory, which is contained in some sense. So that is, I think, one. But on the manufacturing front, I'll talk a little bit about more from a job creation perspective. I think that is where my comments were at. But yeah, I mean, it is going to transform the factory as we know it. Again, we are talking about man-machine interface, where you equip workers, etc., with augmented technology and things like that. So we'll kind of talk about that. But yes, that's also a very powerful use case apart from just IoT, which is Industry 4.0.
Okay, and that's great, and would like to also explore more as we go along. But your opening comments, Hitesh, your thoughts on 5G technology, and especially you've been in the broadband space. How do you see the penetration of smartphones and the 5G network as you go along, and that will propel economic growth in India, and also some of the use cases that you see which would be really useful? You're on mute, Hitesh.
So sorry, so sorry. So how I look this 5G, this will become a game changer. Uh, 5G, we have heard about 3G, 4G, 5G. Now let me go back a little bit. And 3G, which was particularly for the operator centric. The 3G technology was basically, if you see, it was operator centric, the technology. Then later on we uh, come across with the 4G, which is basically the service centric, we can say. Now this 5G become a user centric. So whatever user will decide or wants, he will be able to get it through this 5G technology. Now how it will impact, like this 5G, this because of the high speed, because of the lesser latency, this will become a game changer in various industry. It will impact, like for media and entertainment. Now media and entertainment, one will have a superior TV viewing experience. Then it will also like give us a live broadcasting and the streaming without any hassles, which is not there in the 4G even. uh, in education, like this, again this will become like a game changer, where one can imagine a holographic telepresence of a teacher in a virtual classroom through a virtually beamed technology through this 5G. And in the same way, in the healthcare also, like at present, everyone, whenever any patient, like I am going into the layman's language, where a patient is going for MRI or for a PET scan or some kind of scanning, which he or she will not be able to consult with any of other doctor at present. Having this technology in place, within a fraction of second, all the X-rays, all the MRI plates, everything will be reached to doctor at any place. Any doctor remotely can see any patient. As on today, one of my family member, I'm sharing my personal experience also, who is suffering from cancer disease, is now having a video conferencing with the Tata Memorial Center doctors. So this kind of facility, which was not there, which will help a lot in our economy basically. And as far as the growth you have said, like I see this industry in the manufacturing, uh, in the coming years it will be like 4,700 billion dollars industry, which will impact information and communication like 1,700 billion dollars. Similarly, in the other retail segment and the public services. So I personally feels that till 4G there were issues because it is a fixed wireless access devices, which will have itself a limitations. Now coming into 5G, those kind of limitations will not be there. So people, whoever will want to see for his or own uses, whether it is movie, whether it is any study material, whether it is related to healthcare, everything will be so fast and without any error and hassle free.
Great, Hitesh, and thank you so much for your insights. How do you see is on the demand side? What are the customers asking for right now? Are they excited about 5G, or you still think that there is a long way to go in terms of really, the 5G fervor catching up?
No, so obviously this 5G we have started recently. However, this will definitely now, because the government also is pushing for the digitization. So this will become, there is no choice basically for any of us. to go with this 5G only. And this will definitely help, and there will be a lots of opportunities going to open. The only challenge will be the upskill, or the one who is dealing with in the 4G technology. He has to upskills, then only he'll be able to survive basically. And any changes which is happening around us, because who thinks about this COVID recently, which was passed, we were no way thought of uh, sitting inside the home and connecting with the world, right? So from that experience, we all have learned a lot. So now with the technology, with the help of the technology, we will definitely, it will boost our economy also. It will boost the youth, because youth at present, uh, what I personally feel and see, most of the youths are like, don't go out. They just do on their phone, through their little that smartphone, they do everything. So that kind of mindset's changing. Like the old age people, my father, he never used his phones. As on today also, if he wants to go to bank, he forced me to take me to the bank. So that kind of the total change of mindset, which Mr. Modi also has started through the root level. So the youth as on today, which is our future, uh, is going to change this, the whole world. And now India also at the world stage, Indians also will be seen as a different kind of uh, uh, the different kind of prestige, or the earlier days when Indians were not treated seriously. Let me be very honest, but nowadays even world see us, or see Indians as they take us as a seriously, and that is why the whole world is looking towards India, because they know Indian is the market, a huge market where everything and anything can be possible. With the help of technology, yes, I'm sure we will take India, we will take our nation to a next stage.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. And, the overall smartphone supplies to India are actually increasing every year. And by the end, in the second half of 2023, we will see 5G phones overtaking the supplies of 4G phones. So that brings me to Sharmishta, your opening thoughts on 5G technology and its use cases, and how you think this will propel economic growth in India.
Sure. I think my co-panelists have already spoken along with you. I am not left with anything. But then let me share a little bit of thoughts that I have. I think theoretically in late 2019, the introduction of the 5G came. I still remember 2000, way back in 2016, 17, when we were very enthused, when the 3G was introduced. We thought something great has happened. But now this revolution of 5G has really, made us very, very excited. Now, as I was talking in late 2019, the introduction of the 5G and the first coronavirus, which occurred almost roughly the same time. Leaving aside the fact that the 5G was really introduced in 2018, and this idea was based on the correlation between the coronavirus discovery in Wuhan in China and the introduction of the 5G at the same time. So as Mayur was stating that 5G has 20x speed, obviously the potential of 5G is known to everyone. 5G has the ability to swiftly modify, modernize the city's internet infrastructure by, providing immediate access to greater data rates, more bandwidths, and continuously dependable connections. So this helps the organization to expand their footprints across more areas, attract people effectively anywhere, and providing more of flexible work options for the employees. Obviously, it has created. From the government front, if we see, the government has full control over the band spectrum, and which is one of the most important part of the 5G. By controlling how the spectrum are made, the government can set price that people have to pay. Obviously, the government can also help. I mean, from the government, it can also help telecom companies build networks that will last forever and won't break the bank for the public. Like from the manufacturing front, as Mayur was asking, I think it has created a huge revolution. Now, if we consider the cell signals that is affecting now and post 5G, manufacturing plants, warehouses, and product processing facilities will rely on digital technology and the network connections 24/7, obviously. And the strong cell network is crucial to contemporary manufacturing for the inventory, safety, and engineer communications, obviously. So India is one of the, as I know, I was reading an article. So India happens to be the second largest telecom market due to the policy and technology advances, and India is biggest GDP generator also in this part. Therefore, the government has authorized 100% FDI in the sector, deregulated BPOs and call centers, enabled high flight Wi-Fi, and postponed payments from the telecom providers due to the financial problems. So Department of Telecom has released the Drought Indian Communication Bill in 2022 and public consultations to change existing telecom laws. In terms of the regulations and telecom laws, a lot of things are been happening in this track. Businesses, I'm sure, will be seeing connected gadgets that can detect the environments and interact with the decentralized decisions, as well as fully integrated and collaborative systems can also respond in real time to changing demands and situations. We will see more advances in terms of robotics, in terms of augmented reality that can be used anywhere in the production, in predictive, AI, artificial intelligence, etc. And this will improve the manufacturing part in terms of self-optimization, automation, and efficiency. And since the discussion was, going on in terms of the smartphones, I think smartphones have already gave 98% of the people in India to access in the telecom. Therefore, there is already 5G, I think, in 50 towns that I was reading yesterday in some article, in 50 towns in India. So 5G will not only help this population, but it will also, help us to get connected, to have a connected ecosystem that will allow better services in the smart cities, electronic transportations, and other areas.
Oh, great. That was quite insightful, Sharmishta. So that brings me back to Abhijat. You mentioned, Abhijat, that you would like to speak more as we talk about the impact that 5G has on jobs, on the kind of roles that will create in the future. So how do you see the jobs growing? What kind of new roles will come up? And please take your time to be as extensive as possible, because we would like to really understand your perspective, because I'm sure at Tejas Networks you are closely related to 5G and IoT, and would definitely your inputs would really throw a light on this.
Sure. Thanks, Mayur. So I would just want to break it down into some 2 or 3 broader buckets, and I come from a perspective of a telecom equipment provider. So one is, of course, development of 5G, which is basically making the technology and the physical equipment of 5G in India. Now, from that perspective, I think there are basically 2 areas that we would see a lot of job growth. One area is deep technology of wireless, and India has a talent pool, but it is a small talent pool of wireless uh, technologists who basically do the product development. So developing, it's an indigenous 5G technology. That amount of knowledge is something that we need more of. We don't have enough folks today in the market who kind of know this stuff and who can build these kind of technologies. So that's one. The second area that we talked about was manufacturing. Now, this entire push of having indigenous manufacturing capability is a national priority. COVID has taught us that geopolitics, will trump at some point of time market forces, and we know that a lot of push is there to kind of manufacture in India. So uh, the second large area of job creation would be in the supply chain space, as per me, as the government has more favorable policies to manufacture in India. Now, this can be electronics manufacturing, and that is something that we have an ecosystem. We need to have a deepen the ecosystem. This can be chip manufacturing. A single smartphone has about 20 chips, and we have seen some of the initiatives in that kind of an area. And these are complex operations. A chip factory cannot be kind of built in a day. It requires deep expertise and technology to kind of build up a chip factory. Okay, and those are, I think, areas where we would really need people and talent. And this is also going to be held by the plus one strategy, plus one of China's strategy of the global ecosystem and global supply chain. People want an alternative to China. Now, these are the three vectors on which the manufacturing space will be built: electronics, chips, and assembly. And you would need a lot of people, and these are high volume, high employment generating industries, that we will see a lot of employment job opportunities over the next few years or so. I'll flip back to the first point where we need these deep technologies. Again, this is new technology, so a lot of the courses that are being offered as bridge courses to wireless are already there. So if you see, there are courses offered by ISCs, IIT Kanpur, etc. These are courses. As technology evolves, they might teach some parts of it on the basic curriculum, but even mid-career professionals or early career professionals can know more about 5G by kind of attending these courses. Okay, and really there is no real substitute of developing products. I mean, that hands-on work will need to happen for us to be able to make great products. So I am only talking from a telecom equipment provider space, which is wireless, as well as wireless core technologies, as well as the manufacture in India part. I'm sure there are jobs. I'm sure Hitesh and Sharmishta will touch upon, perhaps uh, from a use case perspective. So how do carriers will see the growth, or other use cases that will kind of happen in those segments and areas. And the last one that I will talk about is basically the ecosystem around it. So you have the carrier who provides the bandwidth, which is extremely high and things like that, but there are the ecosystem around it. So if you're talking about, let's say, something like gaming, somebody will need to develop the app, which is now a possibility. So that immersive gaming, which we spoke about, somebody will need to code it, have a new generation of games, which is way more interactive. Those are the separate use cases but 5G is the core, which will support all of this stuff, essentially, right? So yeah, I mean, that's the third area of job creation. But I'm going to kind of pause here and what the thoughts around the table are.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you rightly said, China plus one and Europe plus one. Now it's the other one, which is coming, Europe plus one, is going to open up more opportunities for us. The second aspect which you mentioned is indigenous, development of 5G equipment on the telecom side, which is definitely going to create jobs both on the manufacturing side of the equipments. At the same time, is the rollout of the equipments as the network rollout progresses as we go along. Another thing which I'm seeing is a real convergence. I mean, we have been talking about convergence of telecom and IT over a period of time, but this is 5G is actually propelling that, in a larger way. Those kind of jobs again are going to be fungible jobs where a lot of people need to know hardware as much as software, and software as much as hardware. So are you seeing that in your product development roadmap?
Um, yes and no. So let me kind of say the yes and no part. So you are absolutely right that somebody who knows hardware and somebody who knows software is a rare commodity. So people need to know both for truly building great products. Just a use case, one of the reasons why a lot of us like Apple products is because the hardware and software is extremely tightly it's very integrated, and that gives a great user experience. Now, that of course that's extremely important, that people should know hardware, people should know software, and that is extremely important. There is of course the other industry dynamic of the open RAN, which basically means that you have generic hardware and you can take the software stack from anywhere else and make a product. Now that a trend, we'll have to see how it kind of pans out. So there is no clear uh, preference of any particular model. It's been tried before, but it has its own pluses and minuses. From an equipment side, we would want to kind of say that, look, if you're able to give a great user experience for our customers, that would be great. But there is the other school of thought which says that, look, you can buy generic hardware and then code the software on it. The jury is still out on that one, so I don't know. But yes, what I would unequivocally say is that, look, somebody who knows hardware and software and who pretty much knows that whole thing is certainly somebody who will grab the big opportunities, because that combination is not very, very common. And India traditionally doesn't doesn't have its traditional strengths in hardware, and we have been more of a software nation. Hardware is not our cup of tea over the last several years, but it may change. I mean, there is no dearth of talent, there is only brain power. And yeah, there is nothing to say that India cannot also become, with this electronics manufacturing that I spoke about, also a hardware power. And the true winner may be, once you integrate both of these things, India may be one of those few countries which is at that sweet cusp that we can do both hardware and software. So I would certainly hope so, but we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, so my son did computer engineering as a major with a minor in software coding. So would you suggest that to the youth of today, that when you're picking up an engineering course, do a major in either hardware software and do a minor in hardware software?
So again, if you look at the education system, it is clear. What I would just say is that have fundamental, basic, good knowledge of computer science, engineering. So languages are fungible. There would be multiple languages, etc. What fundamentally, even today, when we look for great engineers, we look at core problem solving, core engineering skills. That's great. And I would my only input would be that even if you are learning software and coding, and that's a different curriculum, don't kind of shy away from saying that, look, I will not kind of touch hardware, I'll not kind of see where it is kind of coming from. So be alive to that particular angle as well, because what makes you a great engineer in the long run is to see and work on this interface. But yeah, I mean, influence in the curriculum is a little bit of a long way away. But yes, I would certainly say be alive, and even if you are writing code, please understand how that is kind of converted to assembly language ultimately, because you should know that is what I would say.
Great. Thank you so much, Abhijat. And I go to Hitesh. Your thoughts on what kind of jobs are we talking about that will be created in the 5G world? And if you can speak more from a consumer perspective, in the consumer space, that will be really helpful.
So let me start. See, there is a controversy, or there is a dilemma in the people's mind that once everything will be taken over by the machines, what men will do, right? So that kind of, whoever is thinks like in those lines, one should not forget that whichever technology will come in whichever industries, okay, manpower, the knowledge of men is much bigger than the machines, because men only runs the machines, right? So people have this very clear in their mind that because of 5G the job will be lost, or some sort of kind of this kind of thinking. Because I see this, like already Abhijat has spoke about the manufacturing, and while I'm in the service industry, so from service uh, perspective, I can see this, that there will be a much more opportunities is knocking your doors. The youths, uh, they have to just go and grab it, but to grab it they have to upskills their knowledge, because as on today, if one is in the service industry doing technical the problem solution or the TT solution of the consumer, he or she must be aware about what is about. First is the 5G, and to serve, how we will serve the serve our customer without any hassles. So that for that reason, one has to upgrade their knowledge. And there are so many courses which is going on as on today by the different private institutions, which one can go for it. However, as far as jobs, jobs is second. First, let me because I was reading an article where it says around 2035, 2035, we will be having around $15 trillion business through this 5G technology, the revenue. And in Indian GDP growth, the 5G will contribute 2%, which is a very huge percentage as a single technology per se. So that in that sense, one should not forget, yes, there are opportunities. Only thing, we our own self, we have to upgrade ourselves. If that will be done, I don't see there will be any challenges or any people should not fret about this technology per se. uh, and they should take this as a positive, because we can foresee there are tremendous job opportunities are knocking the doors going forward. Maybe within couple of years, there will be a huge demand once everything will be settled. Like at present, it is in the very primary stage where it is rolling out. Once it is getting settled, I think by that time there will be a lots of openings in all the industries. Because when we say, like say in healthcare, the like ambulance, it will be the ambulance as on today, and maybe after 5 years down the line will be a totally, that will be called as a smart ambulance. But to run that smart ambulance, we need a man who can drive, who can run those applications, electronics, equipments which is made available inside the ambulance to carry a patient. So always there is a requirement, and people should not forget that to run any machine, we need manpower, be it at engineering, be it at manufacturing, with electronics, service industry, healthcare, education, everywhere it is required. So I can foresee that the jobs are like tremendous opportunities available.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for your thoughts on this. So I come to Sharmishta, your thoughts on job growth that 5G is going to propel, and what kind of roles or profiles will emerge.
True, true, true. Very insightful answers from my co-panelists. In terms, so we are talking about a technology which is about 20 to 100 times faster technology, right? So if a 4G HD video downloads took about 7 minutes yesteryears, 5G will take 6 seconds. So the download speed, I think, is 5 to 20 gigabytes per second. Therefore, we are talking about something which is completely shifting, from X to Y. The scope is limitless, I would say. And 5G will enable driverless automobiles, delivery drones, and networked industries. Expect better augmented reality. We expect that virtual reality and telemedicine, like doctors remotely treating patients through the computer or the smartphone. So this is where the world is going to settle. The Global System for Mobile Communications predicts that the technology will generate $565 billion by 2034. So, I mean, something we are just going, we can't even, at this moment, we might talk, we can't even imagine what's going to happen. 5G rollout will thus create a lot of jobs, mostly in the Indian telecom sector, which is at the moment a little bit of chaotic situation. The fifth generation spectrum wave is not an incremental upgrade, but a replacement technology is going to set in. That will bring more devices, boost IoT, and improve mobile broadband. a recent research which I was reading yesterday in some article, it talks about 5G in India includes engineering and software roles that will that will be generated. Thus, India plans to start 5G experiment in October. One of the co-founder of one of the biggest companies claims that it brings semiconductor, telecom equipment, software, and telecom industries. Thus, what is needed is 5G needs hundreds of engineers and programmers. I will talk. I heard one of my eminent panelists, and I think Mayur or somebody was talking about his son, what he should do. I have some live example. My daughter joined her MBA in one of the top graded institutes, Nursing Monji, and the same year, 2021. She is from the batch of 21-23. The same year, IIMs have also started in digital communication, the first core MBA program, digital transformation MBA. So we can understand what is going to be. I can see that she has appeared in interviews, and colleges are coming from all round nook and corners, and versatile jobs are being created. Therefore, it is not only about the telecom. Obviously, telecom has a greater opportunity, but all nook and corners are looking ahead for the engineers and the technical grads, management grads, who can help manage companies, Fortune 500 companies or whichever. So there's already, as I was telling, 5G in 50 towns in India, and the rest of the country will be getting into the next 2 years by 2025. So job prospects in all the industries are high, including telecom industry looks very good. On the top, the chances of jobs in retail sector, manufacturing, of course, healthcare, as we were talking about, isolatedly, doctors would be treating their patients, and also in the auto industries, which will improve and they will ensure their services and products meet the 5G standards. There will be bigger opportunities needed by people who work in the cyber security and data scientists. So in India, 5G and telecom jobs will grow by 33.7% with respect to past year. So therefore, we can see huge investments would be growing and setting in this sector. The IoT is another bigger telecom trend which is going to come by 2023. Therefore, 5G will also make possible new wave of IoT appliances and services, and thus the requirement of the job, future requirement of the job will be very high. So 5G is likely to have a long-lasting effect in the workforce as a whole. The rollout of the 5G in the 5th generation of wireless technology networks will bring big changes, not only to our personal lives with tech like wearables, but also on various business sectors such as shipping, adding to what I've already told, shipping and transportation, smart cities, and the whole workforce. Like, for example, we were often thinking of IoT like consumer gadgets, smart refrigerators, enterprise business, analytically powered AI, or personal digital assistants. This will also help in terms of the transportation. Trucks will be trucks which go, remotely at night. They will also be super connected, and therefore, I think the job possibility in various sectors will be high. And as I was telling, 33.7% will be rising by next year, is what a little bit what I can talk about in this slide.
Yeah, Sharmishta, it's very exciting, especially the consumer space really excites me because, as Abhijat also mentioned about the 1 million devices in 1 square kilometer kind of situation which will come up. And these devices would not be limited to the mobile phones and the tablets and the televisions, etc. But I can, see refrigerators, as you mentioned, and washing machines and microwave ovens also coming as devices. And these are dumb devices right now, they would start becoming intelligent and smart and start communicating to each other as well as to us or to mobile phones. And that would really, it's a very exciting proposition for me, where your air conditioner is reaching out to me at a particular time and saying that, should I now start cooling the room, or a refrigerator is communicating, all that stuff. So I think these kind of technologies, Internet of Things, is really going to create new kind of jobs, while it may just take away certain kind of roles. So for example, I feel that the first level, uh, you know, diagnosis if something goes wrong with the devices would be done at a central location. So, for example, if something happens to our washing machine right now, the technician comes to our place just to identify what the problem is. But that can be done at a remote location, and only if there's a change of a hardware part that is required will somebody visit. So those kind of roles will minimize, but it will open up larger opportunities in centralized network operations and engineering jobs. So at team, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Sorry. I want to add one more. I remember way back, I think 2015 or before, in Facebook, I used to see a video. I mean, not I, all of us might have seen a video where, video clip where it was talking about, we just switch, go up in the morning, we get up in the morning and we somewhere on the wall, we push a tab and then the TV starts and it talks about, what time you should do what. It is just through a rate. I mean, what is going to set in? We don't know. The future has limitless options, and probably that will also be true one day.
Yeah, absolutely. So apart from smartphones and smart cities, which will come up, data traffic control, for example, is one of the applications of 5G. So really, really exciting. So as I was mentioning, at TeamLease, we've been focusing on skill upgradation through our apprentice programs. We have TeamLease Skill University, as well as we have our EdTech company, which is TeamLease EdTech, which focuses on developing educational programs for the future. These are delivered on digital platform, and right now we see a lot of interest being shown by our clients to educate their manpower, primarily from one is skill upgradation to improve productivity, but also retention of the manpower for a longer period through a meaningful engagement, because we've seen that reward and recognition or incentive programs has their benefits, but they are short lived. But a longer term retention can really drive the compounding effect of skills and thereby productivity and performance. And also, what I see is that a lot of clients are looking at creating future talent supply chain for their organizations, keeping in mind the explosion in job growth that we are able to see. So Abhijat, any thoughts from your side in terms of what kind of programs that one can be developed to bridge this demand skill gap that we are seeing? As you rightly said, that engineering jobs are going to come up, but as we see that supply is not fully ready to take up the kind of roles that are actually required and the skills that are required.
Sure. I think there is no silver bullet solution to upgradation of talent. Every institution, company, and country will need to do their own thing. I think one of the first challenges we kind of encounter is that people don't know the telecom vocabulary. At least in our context, people don't know telecom vocabulary. So they might have learned basic engineering, but or computer science or ECE. But the telecom domain is a very specific domain, and you need to have a very specific vocabulary for that. Now that I think companies like us at least are teaching it in-house. There is no going away from that. We have an in-house academy, which when we take in the engineers, we kind of train them in the telecom vocabulary. What is the DWDM? What is GPON? What is LTE? What is wireless? What is 5G? Etc. Etc. is generally not taught in colleges. One way to do that is to kind of give that to the colleges to do that, but that's a perpetual challenge because academy and industry always, have a little bit of a catch up to play in terms of curriculum and content. So, but I would again call out, a lot of these. There's a lot of upskilling opportunity even provided by institutes nowadays. So we have to realize that, look, once you do a BE, it's not like, for the next 20 years, you don't need to upgrade yourself. Now, if a new technology is coming in, it's also incumbent on you, which is now being possible with virtual courses, MOOCs, etc., to kind of, keep yourself upgraded. Now, a lot of the Indian institutions like ISC, IIT Kanpur, etc., are all providing courses in that particular domain. There are 5G test beds, which are, live and active in major campuses of India. For example, IIT Madras has a test bed, ISC has a test bed, etc., which students can kind of, learn from. I mean, these are, of course, testing environments and things like that. But, students can, of course, get integrated into that. Now, of course, taking this broadly in not just the top 5, but, maybe the top 20, 30, 40, 100 institutions is the priority of the day. But yeah, I mean, from our perspective, at least from an equipment perspective, this is still a very, very small industry in India. A lot of the equipment is manufactured outside India and brought in. A lot of the R&D, while they may be present in India, there's only a slice of R&D present. You don't get to see end-to-end product development. So more companies, India, if India has to become a product nation, then we need to let 1,000 flowers bloom, and more companies in the product domain kind of, come in and operate and things like that. So yeah, there's no golden solution. Industry needs to kind of do its bit of training employees. Academia, whether by inclusion of curriculum or by special courses, need to kind of, step up. There should be broader support at a, government level to kind of, help the upgradation at the installation commissioning kind of technologies, etc. So, that's not the high-end technology, but, you need, people to do installation commissioning. I'm sure those skills can be kind of, taught. A lot of CSR can also kind of, go into that, because CSR also helps in, education and things like that. So if we kind of do skill upgradation through the CSR route, that would also help.
Great. Thank you so much, Abhijat. And we are actually at the fag end of this webinar. So, 30 seconds each to Hitesh and Sharmishta for your thoughts on any skill upgradation programs that you can, suggest. Hitesh?
Yeah, so this is just about the upgradation of one, because the engineers which are already there and serving 4G customers, right? So they have to just upgrade. So there are so many courses going on, as I earlier mentioned, that by the private institute, by the certified government institutions. So one has to take those and upgrade their skills. Otherwise, I don't see there will be, particularly in the electronic side, whoever has done the engineering courses, because they are engineers, right? So they know the basics. Only thing they have to just upgrade their skills. That is what I think.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hitesh and Sharmishta. Last words to you as we close this seminar in the next 1 minute. So your lasting thoughts.
Sure. So I think, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the 5G connectivity, I think, is going to add about 3 million jobs worldwide. Most of these skills which I can assume, I think, which obviously Abhijat has already spoken, the institutions should take it. There is no silver line of one course, but obviously if we have to comment on few of the courses, it could be cloud-based, and security skills needs to be should be in the interface, machine learning algorithms and big data, GPS development and IoT focused design, electrical engineering of small devices. All of these are important courses that probably, because the demand of techies in the telecom sector will also be very high. At least 15 to 20% surge of demand from 2022 is there, which the trends would set in and rush about 25% huge demand. So few of these kind of courses would definitely add value and would be required. That's all I have.
Thank you, Sharmishta, very much. And one question, Hitesh. which is one of our attendees have pushed in, is saying that 5G brings in great speed. Does it mean that going forward, Wi-Fi broadband operators will face threat competition from mobile telecom operators? Are we going to witness a price competition among retail users and connections? Is the question. So quick one, if you can answer this. You're on mute, Hitesh.
Yeah, certainly there will be a price competition will be there. But I don't see there will be a threat for any of the operators from the mobile operators, because as on today, because it runs on the basically on the fibers, and this is the wireless fixed access technology. So I don't see any threat from that perspective, but yes, there will be a price competition.
Great. Thank you so much. And I would like to really thank all attendees and all the eminent speakers that we've had today. Abhijat, Hitesh, Sharmishra, thank you so much for joining and sharing your thoughts and ideas, and look forward to your participation in the future webinar conducted by TeamLease. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.